What's up, everybody? Dr. Joe, and today we're going to do things a little differently. So, I do teach university level classes in biomechanics, kinesiology, motor learning. So, I'm talking about this stuff all the time. So, I'm going to get a little bit into the nerdy side of things. So, if you want to understand the biomechanics of the shoulder, which are huge if you're trying to get out of shoulder pain, then this video is going to be perfect for you. We're going to talk about two main things. First, we're going to talk about force couples in the shoulder blades. Second, we're going to talk about the force couple between the rotator cuff and the deltoid muscle. So let's cut to those now. Try and follow along. And I know it's a little complex, so if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. With the shoulder blade, this force couple of these several muscles becomes very important. So they're labeled here. So we have the upper trapezius, we have the middle and lower trapezius, and the serratus anterior. And they all have to work together in order for us to lift our arm overhead into the positions we need to get into, whether that's for sports or just day-to-day activities. But good luck playing something like golf or tennis if you can't get your shoulder blade to move how it needs to. So this string represents the line of pull of the upper trapezius muscle. This string is the middle and lower trapezius, and this string is the serratus anterior. So when we want to make the shoulder blade move, we need all of these to work together. So I want to give you a little example of movement gone wrong. So if we were only to contract the upper trapezius muscles, what we would do is we'd pull here, and yes, the shoulder rotates upward, but you see that the whole shoulder blade drifts. That's not going to happen in the human body, or if it does, it's going to place stress on things we don't want to place stress on, and that's where we can end up with shoulder pain or just lack of function. Same thing happens with the middle and lower trapezius. If we pull this, it still rotates upward, but the whole shoulder blade moves, and we can't have that. And as you can imagine, the same thing would happen with the serratus anterior. But when we're talking about a force couple, it's a bunch of muscles working together. So what happens if we pull the string of all the muscles at the same time? Now, since I only have two hands, I can only kind of show this, but if I pull the serratus, then the middle and lower trapezius, and the upper trapezius, and if I pull them all together, what you see is this upward rotation that happens, and the shoulder blade stays where it's supposed to. Those are proper mechanics, and that's how we're going to get our arm overhead and into other challenging positions with the minimum amount of stress. Now, the reason this is so important when it comes to function and injury is because you also have your humerus moving. So when we go up overhead, these things have to move together. What happens if I move this without the shoulder blade moving is eventually I run into this part, which is the acromion process. I start to pinch muscles and tendons, and I can really do some damage to the soft tissue, causing pain, dysfunction, and potentially needing surgery. So that's, again, why this force couple is so important to have happen. When it comes to the rotator cuff, we often think the main function is rotation. It's in the name, after all. And while it's true that these muscles create rotation, it actually has a much more important function. It combines with the deltoid to create a force couple that allows us to move our arm into all of the extreme positions we want to, overhead, behind us. And if that force couple breaks down, that's when we have dysfunction and pain. So to start, I want to show you that if we just used the deltoid muscle to move the shoulder, what would happen? The deltoid muscle force vector pulls directly upward. So we would pull, and it would start to rotate up, but would also slide up. And what you see is it's now going to be running into this, the acromion process. And if you run it into that enough, you're going to create damage. That might be in the form of bone spurs from the bones contacting, or it could be soft tissue tears and damage from the soft tissue getting pinched between there. So instead of having the deltoid act in isolation, it's going to act with the rotator cuff. We have 4 rotator cuff muscles, and if you look at the force they put on the rotator cuff, in addition to rotation, they put an inward force on the cuff. Some of that force is down this way, some of it's this way, some of it's this way. But the important thing is when you combine the entire rotator cuff together, that the resulting force, so all those pulls, end up with a force that's directed at roughly this angle. This allows the head of the humerus to stay in contact, and it also allows it to slide down as the outside moves up. So again, what we're going to see here is the deltoid pulling upward, bringing the arm up, the rotator cuff pulling downward to make sure that this spinning motion can happen. And at a certain point, even that's not enough. We need our shoulder blade to rotate as well. So we have that force couple combined with the deltoid rotator cuff force couple, and we can end up with the arm all the way overhead without contact here, creating any damage or irritation. So that's the rotator cuff and deltoid force couple. First, I really hope you enjoyed this video. Second, I want to make one last point that I think is key here, because the first thing anyone in the healthcare profession seems to do when we have pain anywhere is to advise stretching. But if you think about what we just saw with the biomechanics of the shoulder, think about whether stretching makes sense. Just putting yourself in a position that your mechanics aren't getting you into properly and pushing it and stretching it there, going to make a lot of sense. Or is there potential for irritating tissue and causing worse pain? Again, I know these concepts are a little bit higher level, so I hope you understood them. If there's anything you need me to clean up, just leave them in the comments, and I'm happy to get back to them and go over them again. Thanks.